Welcome to Strategies to Mobilize Knowledge for Global Citizenship Education at Post-Secondary, a Canadian context. This is a short video as a part of my assignment for EDST 523A, a course on paradoxes of internationalization and global citizenship education. My name is Megha Khurana, and I am an adult educator working with learners across a wide range of disciplines and currently an MEd student at the University of British Columbia. In this presentation, I will begin by talking about what global citizenship education is and what are its aims. I will then talk about the challenges faced by educators and institutions, especially post-secondary. I will then present a list of critical questions that educators must begin by asking before preparing students to be global citizens. I will end the presentation with a list of suggestions in this direction for educators. Global citizenship education is defined as a form of civic learning that involves students' active participation in projects that address global issues of a social, political, economic, or environmental nature. The two main elements are global consciousness, which is the moral or ethical aspect of global issues, and global competencies or skills that are meant to enable learners to participate in changing and developing the world. As defined by UN, the aims of global citizenship education are practices that help fostering in learners an attitude supported by an understanding of multiple levels of identity and the potential for a collective identity which transcends individual cultural, religious, ethnic, or other differences. A deep knowledge of global issues and universal values such as justice, equality, dignity, and respect. Cognitive skills to think critically, systemically, and creatively, including adopting a multi-perspective approach that recognizes the different dimensions, perspectives, and angles of issues. Non-cognitive skills including social skills such as empathy and conflict resolution, communication skills, and aptitudes for networking and interacting with people of different backgrounds, origins, cultures, and perspectives, and behavioral capacities to act collaboratively and responsibly to find global solutions for global challenges and to strive for the collective good. In the Canadian context, where the nation is bursting with a mix of cultures, internationalization has many benefits. However, there are many risks too, as listed by the Accord of Association of Canadian Deans of Education. Will it lead to exploitation and deprive the ones who need it the most? These include the locals, Aboriginals and First Nations, the disenfranchised, newcomers to Canada, be it refugees or immigrants, and those who lack funds to pay such exorbitantly high fees. Will it disrupt individual identities and cultural practices? It is important to consider multiple perspectives. And will it lead to colonization of education by taking the Canadian standard to the world, or will it consider globalization in the real sense of the term? All of these pose challenges for educators and policymakers. Some of these faced by post-secondary institutions include a lack of shared understanding of what global citizenship education is, even within institutions. Students and culture to believe in the single story of progress. This stems from their schooling. Strict language benchmarks, and we're talking about a nation where student population is multilingual. Social integration of international students who come from all over the world, and inclusion of all identities across the nation. What can educators then do to foster the kind of learning that global citizenship education aims for? To ensure internationalization is not a process and repetition of practices causing systemic harm, educators, while educating learners about global issues, must begin by asking, is the problem identified global or local? What solutions are being offered? Is it a repetition of historical patterns, which in turn is creating an extension of the same problem? Next, who do we identify as a global citizen? Is it only if one is educated with credentials from recognized institutions, or individuals contributing to bring about a change and challenging repetitive practices? Talking about global citizens, how will they contribute to collective good? Do we want to foster the same that is inherently politicized and corporatized? And what is defined as collective good? Does it include everyone? And most importantly, what can we as educators do to overcome all the challenges that we just discussed? I propose that educators and policymakers should consider the following steps in this direction. First, building a shared understanding of global citizenship education and its aims within institutions for educators. A few steps that can be taken include defining practices and sharing resources within institutions, integrating global and local, be it problems and its solutions, or learning experiences for students. This can be done by blending varied perspectives, including First Nations and all identities across the board. Next, helping educators develop intercultural intelligence. This requires intercultural sensitivities for a diverse student base. Then, standardizing ESL benchmarks. While it is essential to help students acquire required academic English skills, the focus must be on fluency over accuracy. Expecting everyone to acquire accuracy is not ideal. Also, provisions must be made to give way to multilingualism. And lastly, creation of virtual learning environments for the purpose of open access learning for all citizens to help them participate in global citizenship. This requires educators to be trained on technopedagogical skills to facilitate learning on new mediums which are easily accessible. All of these strategies that I have just discussed can help learners develop global consciousness and competencies by taking into consideration the aims of GCE, which is Global Citizenship Education. While these may just not be enough, there is a long road ahead of us. Thank you for watching this video.